live here today with Jim Alderman with North American Savings Bank. He is our first guest on our 4-week series of our home buying process. I'm Missy, the on-site agent here at the Reserve at Stony Creek. So the one thing that I always have people come into my office and say is, how do I get started? What do I do? So Jim is going to be answering all of our questions on getting a pre-approval, what to expect during the mortgage process, and then when you go to close on your home. So Jim, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name's Jim Alderman. I work for North American Savings Bank. Been there for about 26 years. I've been in the mortgage industry for about 30 years. So I've seen a lot of things, and the market's really good, and rates are good right now, so it's a great time to be in the marketplace to buy a house.
Perfect. So if someone is thinking about buying a house and they're thinking they might want to go through the pre-approval process, what do they need to start with?
Typically, we just need some general information. We need to know where somebody works, where they live, how much money they make, what their assets are. We can gather that information in a bunch of different manners. Either fill out our application online, or we can email you a fillable Word document that you can fill out. You can also call our office and we can gather that information over the phone.
Okay. Now, is there a number of times that people can go through the pre-approval process? So, because I know I have a lot of people that come in and they've already been pre-approved through one lender. Can they go to you too to try you out, or can you only go to so many before it starts dinging your credit score?
Typically, you can apply with a bunch of different lenders within a 30-day period, and it only counts as one ding against your credit report. If somebody does have a credit score, we can use their credit score typically and tell them what information, what they qualify based on that. So, I mean, depending on how many times their credit's been pulled or how many pre-approvals they have, we'll make recommendations on what to do.
Okay. Now, if someone is in that very beginning stage again, where they might have went online, looked at some houses, is there any benefit to coming and talking to you before they actually start looking at homes? So, to figure out maybe what they can afford?
I think information's great. I mean, the more information you can get, the better. So we sit down with people, and I'm always surprised at what they think their payment's going to be based on the purchase price. So sometimes they think that it's going to be higher than what it is. Conversely, sometimes they think it's going to be lower than it is. So I always think that the more information you can have, the better. So we sit down, we go through different scenarios, different down payments, and give them a pretty good parameter on how much they're going to spend as far as down payment and what their actual monthly payment's going to end up being.
Okay. What type of loans do you offer?
We do all sorts of loans for the new home communities in Lee Summit. Mostly it's VA and conventional loans. So we do conventional loans, 30-year and 15-year fixed, and we also do VA 30 and 15-year fixed. We do adjustable rate mortgages too, but at this time, with the rates as good as they are, we recommend that most people go fixed rates.
Okay. Now, between a VA loan and a conventional loan, because typically on a conventional loan you need to put 5% down, correct?
Correct.
And on a VA loan you put down 0. So what happens with folks that decide to build? Because typically most builders, and I know some at Custom Homes, we require 5% down on the Missouri side. So if they have to put down the 5% but they're doing a VA loan where it's 100% financing, what does the scenario look like?
They'll actually go into closing and get their 5% back. We have a lot of buyers that will do a build job, put the 5% down with Summit Custom Homes, and at the closing table they actually leave with their 5%.
Perfect. Hey, I wouldn't mind taking money home with me.
Absolutely.
Now, what happens if my equity is tied up in the house I own?
Well, North American Savings Bank has a bridge loan process where somebody can borrow the money to give Summit Custom Homes for their 5% down, and even if they qualify, we can also give them the money from the sale of their house, put down on the new house. Even if their house doesn't sell before they close on their new home, they're able to purchase it tap into their equity in
So,
their current house.
are there any sort of requirements to do that? Do they have to, I mean, obviously, is there a minimum amount of equity they have to have in their house in order for them to do the bridge loan, or does it matter?
Equity's requirement on
Yeah.
the bridge loan. So we don't want to give them more money than they're going to net once the sale occurs, because that's going to provide a negative situation for them.
Absolutely.
So we're going to stay somewhere in the 70 to 80% of the value of their home when we're looking at bridge loans. And we'll make exceptions to that, but typically I would say that you don't really want to borrow more than 80% of what your current home's value is.
Okay. And how long right now are you needing to close on a house? So if somebody's looking at an inventory home, maybe wanting to make an offer on it, how long should they go ahead and write the contract for?
Right now we're telling everybody 35 days. Pre-TRID, TRID's the new mortgage disclosure laws that have taken place, where we have to send the closing documents out a minimum of 3 days prior to close. Pre-TRID, we were telling people 30 days. Post-TRID, we're telling people 35 days. We also say, hey, if you're in a situation where you're in a hurry, we can set it up for 35 days and move the closing date up once the file is fully approved.
Okay.
35 days is probably a good number to count on, though.
Now, if someone is wanting to build a home, how do your interest rate locks work? Because I know a lot of people can be kind of a little bit leery. Am I going to say, okay, I'm going to write and plan on 3.5%, and then in 6 or 7 months, is there some uncertainty that maybe my interest rate could go up? So can people lock it, and how does that process work?
North American Savings Bank has an RPM program, which stands for Rate Protected Mortgage. What we do, once you're 180 days from completion, we'll guarantee a maximum interest rate. The maximum interest rate is going to be 0.25% higher than what the current rate is. Then, when they get within 60 days of closing, they'll be able to take advantage of the rates if they are lower than that. So, if the rate were 3.5% today, you're within 6 months of closing, you can be rest assured that your final interest rate will be no higher than 3.75. But if the rates are better than that, you're going to get to take full advantage of that also.
Okay. Now, say someone comes in, they do the pre-approval process, they find a home. What kind of fees should they anticipate, so that way they know going into the whole process how much money they should have had saved up for closing costs, or if they're going to roll it into their loan, how much they should be asking for? Is there a rough estimate, or like appraisals and?
I think the overall closing costs are right around $2,000. And on top of that, we have an escrow account where we collect 12 months worth of homeowners insurance and an additional 2 months of homeowners insurance, 2 months worth of real estate tax, and interest from the day you close till the end of the month. So on a typical transaction, that can be as much as $3,000. So on top of their down payment, a lot of times they're going to need about an additional $5,000 to cover the closing costs and the prepaids.
Okay. So I get this question a lot. What is an appraisal, and why do people have to pay it?
The government requires appraisals in order for lenders to do the loans. So the appraisal is something that's going to give the lender faith that the house is going to be worth what the people are paying for it, and the loan's going to be done based on the lower of the sales price and the appraised value. So what we normally do is we tell everybody that's building a house at 60 days to get all of their change orders and extras together, and we present those to the appraiser, and they go out and they do an appraisal of the value of the house. And based on that appraised value, they're going to be certain that the house is going to be worth that, and the lender's going to be confident that it is too.
Cool. Is there a minimum loan amount for any of these different loan programs you were talking about?
There really isn't a minimum loan amount. If you do borrow less than $50,000, typically you can expect to pay a little bit more. The best deal that we can make available to somebody is $150,000 and above with a really good credit score. Something in the neighborhood of 740 and above. When you hear rates advertised, most of those rates are for loan amounts $150,000 and greater, and with people with the 740 FICO score above.
So if somebody, let's say they do a $250,000 loan, are they going to possibly get a better rate than someone that gets a $150,000 loan, or are you just saying it's just above $150,000?
Actually, there is a possibility that the higher loan amounts get the better deal. So, again, there's magic numbers, 150, maybe 300, maybe 400. So within our bank, you might see a difference between a $150,000 loan and a $300,000 loan be about 0.1% rate. And then again, if you go below $50,000, you can expect to pay a little bit higher than that too.
Absolutely. Is there a minimum credit score?
We have programs available that have, we've accepted lower than 620 FICO scores on a lot of different programs, but in order to get a pretty good deal, you're going to need a 620 FICO score. The higher the FICO score, the better the deal. So we meet with people and we tell them what's available to them based on their current FICO score. We'll make recommendations to them to improve the score so they can ultimately get a better deal.
Okay. So for folks that are watching right now that aren't 100% sure about their FICO score, is there somewhere that they can go to look at that number, or should they just contact you?
You can. I think the mycreditscore.com or Credit Karma are good places to start.
Okay.
But the mortgage industry uses a different credit scoring model than those. So typically if my Credit Karma score is 730, I'm probably looking at a mortgage credit score a little lower than that, usually 20 to 25 points. But I always think it's a great idea to check Credit Karma to see what's on there is accurate, and then get a credit score from us, and then you can
causes the credit score to go down compared to what they would find online. Like, do you guys weigh stuff differently?
No, the mortgage industry, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, VA, has not available. So Credit Karma scores your real score. The mortgage industry is lagging behind, and the new scoring system is actually giving you a higher score than the old system. So the entire mortgage industry is a little bit behind in catching up. So what you see is your real score, but what we give you is what all lenders that do mortgages are going to be using.
Okay, cool. Now, what is the benefit of using you versus another lender in the aspect of online lenders, and then also just in our Summit exclusive communities?
Yeah, North American Savings Bank has a really good reputation locally. So if you're going to do business in the Kansas City marketplace with Summit Custom Homes, we're going to be accountable to the process. We're going to be accountable to the closing date, the terms that we provide, and if anything goes wrong, we're going to be accountable to make it good. If you're using an internet lender, I think that they're not accountable to anybody locally. They're not accountable to the buyers, to you guys, to Summit Custom Homes, or anybody. So lending's local because only through the local connections can you have the accountability piece. Yeah. The other thing you asked was about, terms. Our terms are fantastic, and also we have a special deal with Summit Custom Homes based on our relationship. If you borrow $200,000 or more, we give $1,000 in lender credit on all of our loans with Summit customers.
Awesome. So that's all of the questions I have. Do you have any last minute tips for anyone who's kind of on the fence? They don't know if they want to jump into this crazy market, or if they, what they should be doing to get this whole ball rolling?
I think the best thing to do is just, talk to a lender, get pre-approved, figure out what your budget is, and then the houses that are going up in the Summit communities, all of our consumers seem to be very happy with the end product. So I would just say, take the leap.
See, this is why he's my favorite. Those kind of comments right there. Well, thank you for tuning in, live again next Thursday at 1. I apologize that we're a day late, but we did it yesterday actually, and for some reason the volume didn't work, so I apologize for that. I hope it's working now, and we will see you guys next Thursday.